Hey, Game of Thrones listeners, real quick before we get into the episode, I wanted to let you know that this is the last episode until September. We are taking a small hiatus so we can enjoy the rest of the summer, take a little break, get refreshed, and come back ready with new episodes all for you. So thank you for listening, and make sure if you haven't already, make sure you scroll down and sign up to receive emails or follow me on Instagram or LinkedIn. I will be promoting older episodes with women who have now gotten promotions. I will be bringing up some topics that were really popular and promoting some of our top 10 episodes. So I'll be doing that on our email list if that's how you like to communicate. If you are more of an Instagram person, you can follow me there. It's at Jahaan Blake. If you're LinkedIn, also Jahaan Blake, you can follow me there. But you have 3 different ways that we can be in touch, and I'm happy to talk to you through one of them or all of them. So if it's the email list, make sure you scroll down to the bottom, sign up for the email list so you get weekly emails. That way you'll know when we're coming back, and you will know what we're promoting and what the top episodes have been so far. All right, let's jump into the episode. You should know that taking PTO improves your productivity, it lowers your stress, it helps you avoid burnout, and it increases your mental health. Welcome to the Game of Her Own podcast, a podcast about women who work in sports. I'm your host, Jahaan Blake. After 15 years of working for 3 major league teams, including the Boston Red Sox, Los Angeles Dodgers, and the Chicago Cubs, I discovered the one thing I loved the most was helping women in sports shatter glass ceilings and take their seat at the table. I loved it so much that I made a business out of it. I have the honor of coaching high-performing women in the sports and entertainment industry and supporting them as they go after exactly what they want in their career. So if you are feeling tired of waiting on the sidelines, done being overlooked for promotions, and you're ready to pull ahead of the pack and take your career to the next level, girl, I'm here for it. I also created the Game of Her Own podcast to support you as well. We are here to share the stories of incredible women who work in sports and entertainment. These leaders and trailblazers will inspire you with their success and the lessons they've learned along the way to the top. Ladies, there is nothing like women empowering women. I am so honored you're here. Game of Her Own listeners, do you take advantage of your PTO, paid time off, vacation time, whatever you want to call it? Do you take advantage of it? Do you know that, and you may have heard this before, but do you know that 40% of Americans leave unused paid vacation time on the table? 40% of Americans just leave their PTO. Now, it's confusing to me. That's not confusing. I get it. Sometimes you are afraid to take vacation for whatever reason. You don't want your boss to think that you're not a team player. You don't want your teammates, your colleagues to think that you're not a team player. Maybe you guys are really busy, but that busyness and that sense of urgency never seems to end. So you don't want to take vacation. You don't want to take vacation where you can fully disconnect. So maybe you go away, but you work every day. Maybe like you do half days, and that's your way of still contributing. Maybe you just don't want to miss anything because you want to get that promotion. You want to be recognized as a leader in your department, in your industry. I get it. There's 1,000 different reasons that we can all come up with, and I've done it before, for why we don't want to take our vacation. You should know that taking PTO improves your productivity. It lowers your stress. It helps you avoid burnout, and it increases your mental health. Also, this is one that we don't really talk about. Research shows that taking time off increases your chances of getting a promotion. So if research shows that taking time off increases your chance of getting promotion and those other benefits that I just talked about, why don't we do it? And why don't we do it well? I've seen a few people in my feed on social media who have taken some vacations. And I mean, we're talking 2-week vacations. And I am so proud of them for doing that. I've seen other people who are timid when it comes to taking time off and feel like they should keep one foot in the door and still work because of all the different reasons. There's a way for you to take your PTO so you come back and you feel refreshed and hopefully you love your job, right? Or like it. Let's say you like your job and you come back and you are ready to go because you were refreshed and you took a minute and you stepped away and you took the PTO that is part of your benefits package. Today, we're going to talk about 4 simple ways to take your PTO and feel guilt-free. All right, Game of Our Own listeners, let's do this. Number 1, establish boundaries. Now, I want you to keep in mind while we're talking I know there's always going to be work to do. I know that I own my own business. I am the boss. I get to say when I take a break and I get to take as much time as I want, really. However, I still have clients and I have to establish boundaries. So I don't have a boss, but I have a lot of bosses or a lot of managers, if you will. Well, not managers, but I have a lot of clients and clients are really your boss. So it's just a fancy way of saying it, but you get to establish boundaries. And I do that with my clients as well. And I've done this when I've worked for teams. I've set boundaries after I made some mistakes along the way. Let me help you avoid the mistakes that I've made and my coworkers have made, and now we do not make them anymore. So establish your boundaries. It is up to you and only you to hold them and enforce them. People are going to test them. It's up to you to hold them. You have to think ahead. So when you go to plan your PTO, you don't have to go anywhere. Your PTO can be a staycation in your home. It does not matter. But are you going to fully unplug? I recommend it, but I recognize that not everyone has a luxury of fully unplugging. Now, if you're not fully unplugging because you're worried about being left out of meetings, you're worried about missing something, you have work FOMO, that's not a good reason to not unplug. If you have a team that's in the middle of launching something, and maybe it's a year-long launch, or you have a deal that you're supposed to close and it went really long, okay, and it's rolling over a couple of months and you can't walk away from that, but you can take PTO for it during it. Those are good reasons. But just because you have fear of missing out, that's not a good reason. Take your vacation. You will be better off after it. So get out ahead of it. When you set your boundaries, get out ahead. Okay, am I going to unplug this vacation 100%? Okay, I'm going to make sure my team knows that I'm leaving. Obviously, my manager knows they approved it, but I'm going to set some boundaries with them as well. Hey, I am going to Portugal for 2 weeks. I will be completely out of touch. I will make sure before I leave, though, you know who to go to when it comes to things that I typically do, who's covering for me. I'll have a complete plan in place. And before that plan is fully baked, I will just run it by you really quickly just to get your input. How does that sound? Great. That's your biggest worry from your managers, or who's taking care of the stuff that needs to get done. They don't not want you to go away. They're just worried, okay, is this going to create more work for me? I don't have any more room on my plate to cover for my employee. So establish those boundaries right up front. Make sure you're aware that, hey, I'm going to fully unplug, or, hey, I'm going to be away for 7 days. I'm going to check email the first 3 days just to make sure everyone is doing okay. I'm going to check it in the morning, only once at 8 a.m., whatever time zone you're in. So that's number 1, establish your boundaries. Now, if you get tested, I will give you this one thing, and people will test your boundaries, and you are inclined to, if you're a people pleaser, listen up. If you're multitasking, come back to me. If you are inclined to let somebody break that boundary that you've established and you're saying yes to them, realize that there's an expectation that's being set now. You've broken your boundary. You've said, yes, I will take this call, even though you said you were not going to be available the entire time. Then there's going to be an expectation that you're available later on. What if there's something even more important? It can all wait until you get back. And if it's an emergency, your manager will let you know. Trust me on that one. If there is an emergency where they cannot do things without you, they will let you know, and they will explain that to you in the email or the text or the voicemail. Do people still leave voicemails? The voicemail that they leave you. But it's up to you, and you have to take pause. When someone calls you or emails you and decides that they're going to test your boundary, just pause for a minute. What are you saying no to by saying, yes, I will take that call. Yes, I will respond to this email. What are you saying no to? Are you saying no to a self-care day for yourself? Are you saying no to are you going to miss something with your family? Is it going to, maybe it's only going to take an hour, but it's going to, sometimes things only take an hour, but there's the pre-work that you do in your head mentally, and then there's the post-work that you do in your head mentally. And sometimes you can't shut that off. So just think about everything that entails by saying yes to somebody who's testing your boundary. Number 2, roles and responsibilities. This is a really easy one, but it takes a lot of time. So it's tedious, and a lot of people skip this. So you want to figure out who is covering for you. What is their role and what is their responsibility while they're covering for you? So you want to make a grid. You want to make a spreadsheet, whatever you want to call it, make it a Google Doc and put in the roles and responsibilities. So if you have 4 areas that you are responsible for, put down all 4 and say people are only covering for 2 of them because the other ones don't need attention while you're gone. Just write that in the spreadsheet. So you have your 4 different core roles. And then next, so say what they are, high levels should just be an easy to read headline, something that your manager understands and your colleagues understand. The colleague who is supporting you understands. Next column is the responsibilities. So what are you going to have that person do while you're gone? And then the next line is who's doing that. And the ones that you don't have to worry about, then just say that. Just call it out. And that's what you want to share with your manager ahead of time. So we talked about establishing boundaries. Now you're setting up the roles and responsibilities. Who is covering for you when you're gone? Make sure it's a trusted colleague or a coworker, right? Somebody in your department makes the most sense. Make sure you trust that person. You want to go over it with them to make sure you guys are aligned. Then this is well in advance of you leaving. Then you want to go over it with your manager and they can take a look at it and they can see all the core responsibilities that you have. They can take a look and say, oh, this is great. So now there's no confusion. They know they've signed off on no one's covering 2 parts of your job because there's no need. But somebody is helping with maybe it's, client relations. Somebody's handling the client relation because that's important because you can't tell them, oh, no one's going to help you now because I'm on vacation, right? That doesn't really always work out that well. You want to make sure you have everything covered and make sure you do this at least, I'm telling you for sanity purposes, get this done at least a week before you leave because you don't want to scramble before you leave. Everyone's always scrambling before they go on vacation. And I get it, right? Everyone starts to throw things at you, have a lot of different questions, but this one thing is done. Make sure any key stakeholders know that you're going away. And when I say key stakeholders, I'm talking about people outside of your department that rely on you to do their job. Just let them know you're unavailable. And if someone needs to help them while they're gone, you could tell them who that is as well. Do this a week in advance. If you have clients, right, external clients, and you need to let them know, they're going to love hearing from you beforehand instead of getting your out of office. Now, one other thing, 2 last things I'll say when it comes to roles and responsibility. One is if you are afraid of missing, let's say it's a weekly meeting or it's a bi-weekly meeting, you're just going to miss it. And so you're not going to be there you're not going to be in this meeting for a month as a result. Ask someone to take meeting notes for you. Say you will return the favor when they're out. So in that way, you don't have to ask them when you get back what happened because they already sent notes to you and it's fresh in their mind and then they'll send you the notes. Also, schedule a catch-up meeting. So whoever is on your team, if you are managing a team, definitely have a catch-up meeting that you lead. If you are part of a team, you're not managing anybody right now, schedule a catch-up meeting with somebody you trust. Yes, you'll have all these emails to go through, I think, and they'll still copy you on emails. That's what happens. You get back and there's so many emails. However, some things get discussed on the phone. Some things it's discussed on Slack or on text, and you're just not sure where things ended up. You spend more time trying to piece together emails than you need to. Just promise someone, hey, if I take you to coffee, can you catch me up on everything I missed? And I will return the favor when you go on vacation. Okay, number 3, fully disconnect. I recommend that you do this at least once a year, if not every time you take vacation. Again, I understand some things come up, but if it's FOMO, just regular old FOMO from work, that's not a good reason. If you want to fully disconnect and you're saying, I can't because my team can't run without me, or my manager might be upset. Again, I want you to pause and go back to number 2, the roles and responsibilities. How can you set yourself up for success. If you're not managing a team, how can you set yourself up for success in having someone cover you? If you are managing a team, how can you make sure your team has the tools they need to do their job without you? What's in your brain? Sometimes we're like, oh, I have all this stuff in my head and I don't have time to get it out. I'm telling you, if you want to fully disconnect, which you should at least once a year for 2 weeks, I always recommend that. You want to make sure everyone get everything out of your brain, put it on paper, put it in a Google Doc. I work with my clients all the time on this. Oh, I train a group, any incoming employees. Oh, that's great. Where do you document this? Oh, it's all in my head. Get it out on paper. It's going to help you and it's going to help your team succeed on their own. So my recommendation is do the work up front so you can fully disconnect. So you can leave your work cell phone at home. So you can leave your laptop at home. One of my favorite things about my podcast editor is she will tell me in advance, I am going on vacation and I'm not taking my laptop. Here's the dates I'm leaving. Here's the dates I would need these episodes by. Oh, that's fantastic. And I think once I bothered her because something wasn't working. Right. And I'm not a technical person and I needed her help so you all could hear this podcast. However, I don't, when she says she's not bringing her laptop and she's fully disconnecting because she needs to for her sanity, I appreciate that boundary and I do not cross that boundary. So it's okay. Leave your laptop at home. Leave your cell phone at home. Take a tablet so you can watch some fun stuff on the plane if you're going somewhere. If you're doing a staycation, maybe you shut down your computer and put it in a computer bag and put that computer bag in your closet along with your cell phone. You can actually even do out of office. I'm doing air quotes here, out of office messages on your cell phone. I helped my sister figure it out for maternity leave. She's a lawyer and people constantly test the boundaries with her and try to cross them. And she was not having it. So we figured out how to do that on her cell phone as well. One thing that happens to a lot of my clients when they go on vacation is they have a lot of ideas. And if you like to start things quickly, they feel like they need to I had this great idea. I got to start working on it. Listen, let me not stop you. If you have inspiration and you just want to jot things down, do it. But don't take out your computer to do it. You can write it in a notebook. You can write it on your personal cell phone in the notes section. But any ideas that you have, write them down. I know that I do it all the time. And then after I get it all out, I'm like, okay, that's enough. I just had this great idea. Just wanted to get it on paper. You can come back to it. So get out whatever, if you're feeling inspired, you're feeling motivated, write it all down and then come back to it later. So you can have a parking lot of all of your great ideas. The last thing I'll say about fully disconnecting is careful of the story you make up. And I think you know what I mean when I say that, but if you're new here, I will go over it. A lot of times we make up stories. So we think, oh, my coworkers are going to be so disappointed in me because it's so busy. A lot of times when I ask my clients, why do you feel that way? They come back and they're like, I have no idea. I just really thought about that and wanted to give you a real answer. And I don't know why. I just think it was me making this up because I'm nervous to leave them. I think they would say something if they were upset. So careful, ask yourself why when you do start to tell yourself a story. Why am I saying this story? Is this true? Is this really going to happen? Last thing, number 4, I want you to ease your way back into work. A lot of times we get back to work and think we have to go full speed. Well, yes, you have to go to work and you have to do your job, but there's a few things you can do. One, if you have the time, block off, do a half day your first day back. Or take a full day off, don't come in and just kind of go through emails. And so you're working that day, but no one else does. Everyone thinks you're off. So it's a way to ease back in. One thing I would recommend is make sure you block off your calendar the first half of your first day back, no matter what. Block that off so you can respond to emails if you need to. You can delete the emails you don't need. You can go have that cup of coffee with your coworker who said that they would give you a catch up on everything. They would catch you up on everything that happened while you were gone. It gives you a minute to just get back into things. So if you just need to schedule, maybe you're like, 4 hours. I don't know if I can do that, Jahaan. Just block off 2. Telling you, if you don't have a meeting at 9 a.m. on your first day back, you're going to be very happy because you're going to resent the people who put 9 a.m. meetings on your first day back or 10 a.m. meetings. So try to block your calendar for 9 to 12. really easy so you can ease your way back into the day. And now this is the last tip I'm going to give. Clean your desk before you leave. I'm telling you right now, have you ever left your house and it was messy and then you either had a cleaning person come over or your roommates cleaned or your partner cleaned and you were like, oh my God, this feels so much better to come back to a nice, clean house. Same thing. You want to come back to a nice, clean desk. Now I know it sounds really simple and you're thinking, did I just listen to this whole podcast for you to tell me to clean my desk? Sure did. Clean it. You will feel so much better. All right, y'all, I want to hear where you are going. If you are going to take your PTO, remember, you deserve this time. It's part of your package. Can you take 2 weeks total? If that seems scary to you, but you want to take more than 5 days, then try a week and a half. Try 6, 7 days. Ease into it. If you're afraid of fully disconnecting, set up some just easy boundaries for yourself. Say, I'm only, the first 3 days, it's really hard for me to ease into vacation because I just feel like I'm missing something at work. We have something important going on. Maybe the first 3 days, you give yourself permission to just check email once a day for 30 minutes after you had your coffee and did something fun for yourself. Then check your emails and then just close it down and get out of there. You deserve this time. Whatever you do, whether it's a staycation or going to Europe for 2 weeks or doing a staycation for 2 weeks, they're just as valuable. It's your time. You need this. There's a reason why there's PTO built into your compensation package. You need to take the time off so you can come back and be the best version of yourself. All right, Game of Thrones listeners, I love hearing from you. So if you are taking PTO this year, please let me know where you're going because I want to hear about your trips and live vicariously through you. Until next time, friends.